Welcome to the Kayak Bass Nation. Yeah. Welcome to the Kayak Bass Nation. Kayak Bass Nation. Hey. Welcome to the Kayak Bass Nation. Welcome to the Kayak Bass Nation. Welcome to the Kayak Bass Nation, where we talk about fishing and competition. It's your boy Ox Pippin, aka Ox Fishing. Don't come over here tripping. Hey, hope you enjoy the show. Jeff Malott, Lunch Money Lambert, Lego. Hey, welcome to the Kayak Bass Nation. Kayak Bass Nation. Yeah. Welcome to the Kayak Bass Nation. Kayak Bass Nation. Hey. Welcome to the Kayak Bass Nation. Welcome to the Kayak Bass Nation. Welcome to the Kayak Bass Nation.
All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome to KBN Live. I was trying to get them shared to the appropriate groups, Ryan. I was panicking. I couldn't find BASS Nation Kayak Series, but then I realized they changed it today to the Bass Master.
It's back, boys. Terry inspired them. They done hit the name change button.
Yeah, man. What's up, everybody? We're glad you're here on a Monday night. It's gonna be fun to talk about Lake Fork. We got our buddy, friend of the program, Garrett Morgan, in here. It was fun watching him smash over the weekend down there. And for me and Ryan, it's tournament week, man. It's finally our turn. Get off the sidelines a little bit.
When are you coming down, by the way?
I lost you. What happened there?
Oh, no.
Yeah, it went real quiet all of a sudden. But yeah, man, it was a lot of fun watching what happened on Lake Fork. I got a little bit of extra ice and snow up here, so I didn't make the trip down. But I'm anxious to get to Toledo this week, so get off.
When are you heading down to Toledo?
I'm leaving Wednesday straight after work. It's about a 6.5 hour drive, so not too bad.
All right. I'm gonna try to leave in the morning, man. I don't know. I was telling y'all in the group chat, the old Cummins started making a little whining noise, just a little one. But I get nervous, dude. I don't want to get caught 10 hours from home and something go wrong. So I may unload the truck and load up the Jeep and take it.
You gone again? It keeps going in and out. Thanks everybody for watching this. Appreciate your help sharing this around to people that might want to see it. I know I put it over in our Natural State Kayak Anglers group and the Bass Nation group because I know these folks are going to hear Garrett's story. I know he gave a little bit of it on the at the weigh-in video, and then he also got on Bassmaster and gave his write-up. That's one thing the Bass folks really do. They get a press release out quick, so we got to read that before the show.
I saw the press release, and they did like a little photo shoot.
Yeah. Yeah, you're going in and out, in and out. There you go. I heard you that time. But yeah, they did a nice little photo shoot of the event, and I think that was Mark, Big Worm. Mark took care of that for him, so it looked good.
Good time.
Yeah, it looked good. What'd you think of the event, man? Watching it, it was wild. It was tough conditions, but it seemed like there were still plenty of big fish caught. You hear me? Can you hear me, Ryan? Can you hear me? No. Oh, Ryan's got technical difficulties. So yeah, the one thing I noticed, man, at the event was even though there were only 3 limits caught, the average size fish was unbelievable. I think Kyle Long made a post about that. Some giants caught. I know Larry Hill had 3 over 23. There were a couple 24s caught, 24.5 one big bass. So even though it was slim pickings for fish, there were some giants caught. We'll talk to Garrett about that when he gets in here. Mic check, Ryan. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. So the hearing is not the problem.
Okay.
I'm watching this microphone. It's got like LEDs on it.
Yeah.
It'll go from like all the way up to all the way down. And I don't know if somebody's just messing with me or what, but hopefully it's fixed now. I don't know. Knock on wood.
I got you. I tried to fill in the awkward silence there. You got anything you want to add to that?
No, I mean, that was a pretty impressive tournament. It was crazy how few limits were turned in, and you didn't really see a lot of buck bass in that. It was either you caught a 20 or you didn't catch shit, it seemed like. So
Yeah, and shout out to our boy BDH. I see him in the comments. He had a difficult day 1, and then day 2, my man came in there with 106 inches and climbed that leaderboard quick and got up in there to a nice check. So way to go, BDH, new dad.
That was dumb. Hey, listen, while we're on that, before we bring Garrett in, congrats to B3 Baits Blake Knight, because he clapped up BDH down there, boy.
No, whoa, wait a minute now. He did.
Whoa,
he got him by.
You said whoa. Wait,
he got him by a
right.
spot. He sure enough got him by a spot.
I know.
I had it backwards. I was looking at that earlier. He got him. He got him by a spot for sure.
Way to go, B3.
Man, that sucker was 1 fish away each day from really being up there. He just couldn't get that full fish. So I messaged him and told him we were pulling for him. So good job, Blake.
I'm glad you lied to him, but still, good job. Yeah. Good job doing what you did anyway.
We had dinner with Blake and his wife, and we were down in Dallas last time. I had a good time with him, so that's my guy. I had to give him some words of encouragement. It was cool to see that happen, man.
I see your question, Matthew. We're going to get into that once we bring him on here. We're going to figure out what all went down.
That's one of the fun parts of it, or one of the cool parts of this tournament story we're going to get into. But let's stop messing around. Let's get the champ in here. Before we do that, we want to thank our sponsors. Of course, Revo Sunglasses. Use code KBN25 to get you a 25% off. And I think on Revo.com, they're running some Valentine's Day stuff anyway, where it's like buy one, get one free on some stuff.
No kidding.
And then they're doing some other Valentine's Day stuff. So you can probably use your code and get one free. I don't know.
Highly recommend it. We're going to be doing some Revo content on Toledo Bend while we're down there. So that'll be fun. Hey, Dugout just left there today. Got some fresh new hats in. Check them out. And in case you didn't see the special, they are doing some Rapala DT promos. So the OG Slims and all of the DT lines. So hop on dugoutfishing.com and pick you some stuff up.
Yeah, and of course, Western Sun Vodka, drinking choice for KBN. I've got a big, I say a fairly big plastic crate full of mini bottles I'm bringing down to Toledo Bend to share the love with some folks. So
that'll be good.
That should be fun. We're going to play a little snippet from a video you just shot down at Dugout, as a matter of fact. And while that's playing, we'll get Garrett in here and we'll get to talking to him. So everybody hang tight. We'll be right back with the champ.
Let's go.
Accessories Dugout has is just, it's excellent. The anodized handles for lift and reverse on the motor. Speaking of motor, I decided to go with the Newport this year. The reason I really like the Newport is you can choose whatever brand, 24 volts versus hours of runtime. I went with the Tim Percy steering system on this. The unit is so clean. You can pan optics with the remote. You want to be able to control when that. I truly in kayak fishing. The best reels, the best tackle, and the best customer service. I know where I can find all this under one roof. It's in Marietta, Georgia. Give Jamie Koza a call and let him absolutely trick out your dream rig.
All right. Nice stuff, Ryan. If you want to see that full video, head over to Ryan's Facebook. Is it on your YouTube, Ryan?
Yep, I put it up today.
All right, man. Yeah, Dugout will rig you out. But what's up, Garrett? Champ
What's up, man?
And Pancake. Garrett and Pancake.
Hey, Pancake's in the house for a little bit.
Throw some signs to Pancake.
Today, man.
Pancake.
So,
Yeah,
I didn't think she was gonna make the show. So funny story. Saturday while I was gone, my youngest kid wanted to make a Valentine's Day gingerbread house. So there's a picture of Pancake eyeballing this thing while they're making it. So Sunday they go to church, leave Pancake at the house. They come home, grab Pancake. They go eat lunch with family, and then they end up hauling down to, Lake Fork, because by 12 o'clock, it's kind of like, I think that's going to happen. Jessica gets home last night, and where the gingerbread house had been was just nothing but a bunch of crumbs. So Pancake ate a whole gingerbread house while they were at church yesterday, and nobody found out until we got home last night, and she started having some issues today, burping and doing her thing. But she got a trip to the vet. She's good to go, and we're going to let her go play some ball in the hallway while we do this.
There you go, man. And you just got a big check to help pay that bet bill, so you're good to go.
Right, yeah. I'm going to get her out of here. Hold on.
Pancake. The star. The dog star of KBN.
All right.
There he is. How you feeling, buddy?
Feeling good, man.
Feeling good. You beat? All right. Good show, everybody. We're out of here.
All right, we'll see y'all. He's feeling good, guys.
All right.
You beat?
No, man,
you have to be.
Yeah, it's, like I've said, it's been a long time coming for me. So, been close a few times. Just always seemed like it was out of reach. Winning this year, really wanting to win one of these. Actually, I think I came on, like me and Pancake called in on one of the call-in shows. And you guys, hey, what do you got planned for the year? And I'm like, listen, I need to get a win. I need to win one of these events. And, I shared with y'all then that I was leaving the local events behind. So they've been good to me. It was good to, get experience, but I think I'm ready to just tackle more national events. And then the weekends that I'm not fishing at Hobie or BASS or something like that, I'll spend with the kids and watch ball games and, not take up too much time doing too many local venues anymore.
Yeah. And that's crazy, man, because I didn't realize you've cashed quite a few times nationally.
Yeah.
And I just assumed that you had won one before. I just wasn't paying attention because you cashed a lot. But I know you've won a lot, especially with all those plaques behind you back there. And you cashed a bunch of times. So, yeah, you're definitely due for sure.
Yeah. Well, the thing about it, if you look behind me, you see the state of Arkansas how many times.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things. It's cool if you can win in your home state. But, until you get out of state and put a big win up there, you kind of feel like, you still got something to prove. So that was a big goal of mine going into the year, was to win a national event. So just, real excited and blessed, man. I mean, seriously, the last couple of weeks have just been huge uptick for me personally and just kind of getting my mind right and just, getting in a good place.
That's awesome.
Did you think when you were preparing for Fork, with all the hammers, all the Texas hammers that were signed up for that event, did you, in your head, and I know, positive mental attitude, whatever, did you think that you were going to win it when you left the house?
Yes.
All right.
I mean, I did. I told people I was going to win it. I told James Whited before I left. I mean,
you told me.
I'm not saying that to be arrogant. I'm really not. But I went down there and practiced, and both days I had 100 inches. And it was right after a cold front. And when I saw folks on, KBN, kind of dreading the weather a bit, I kind of felt like, okay, well, this really might happen for me. This might be the time. I think there was a lot more mental prep of what we're going to do with the weather than I think, was focused on fishing at times. And those 2 days I spent pre-fishing down there paid off big time. Like I said, I rolled in. It had been warm, and then we got smacked with a cold front. That morning, I think the wind chill was like 26 when I went out. And I had on like 6 layers of clothes. I had my duck hunting waders on, and I went and found some main lake stuff, some trees. And it's like, it was one of those things where if you found a fish, there's probably five fish on that one spot. And you could also leave it and then come back, and there'd be more fish there. So the first spot I found the fish pre-fishing, I caught 6 fish off that tree. And it's to the point I even FaceTimed my brother, and I was like, dude, watch this. And I cast in there and catch one with him on FaceTime. And so I went and looked for things similar to that. And, when I would catch a fish, I'd mark it on my graph, and then I'd leave. I didn't stay there and fish it because I've already figured out, hey, you find one, there's going to be more. Just mark it on your graph and go find some more. And so I found, 6 spots in a cove that I liked. And then I went out to the main lake and worked some stuff. And I was only planning on being down there one day, but the fishing was so good for me, pre-fishing, that I worked some things out here at the house to be able to stay an extra day. And I found some more stuff on the main lake. And mark, 2 or 3 more spots like that where there's just multiple fish. And then, the last day I was there, I sent Jeff a picture of the fish, but I ended up catching a 7-pound, 7-ounce fish off of Main Lake Point. And I had planned to start there, but when they changed the time of the tournament, I didn't end up starting there because I felt like it was an early morning spot. I'd fished that spot one other time, and I caught a fish that was over 6 at that point. But it's one of those things where it's usually good, like for the first 30 minutes or so in the morning. But I share that with you as we kind of get into the story a little bit. That spot would pay off later, but I didn't start there on day one.
Yeah, I know that you and I traded some messages the week before, and you kind of figured out were you aware of the pre-fishing cutoff rules?
Yes, yeah.
You were, okay, because you had to run down there before it cut off. Because Bass, as
Right.
everybody knows, they changed the rules. It's off limits Saturday through Tuesday, basically.
Yeah.
So Garrett had to run down, early in the week before.
Yeah, and I think that was also, they say you gotta have a little luck. I mean, that was kind of luck because I planned on going Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah.
And then in our little group text we got with some of the guys from Old Town, we were talking about the free fishing rule, and I was like, gosh, I guess I'm leaving the night and I'll just fish the next 2 days. And I ran down there, and it worked out good because I was wanting to fish the warm weather that was coming. But instead, I was forced to fish this cold front that moved in because of the way the pre-fishing days were. And, I watched the weather throughout the week. And the more I watched it, the more I was like, this is going to set up exactly the same way it was whenever I was down there pre-fishing. And I think I'm going to be good. But, I felt like I could win it. But did I think that I was going to be the only person that had those kinds of bags? Heck no. Like I thought it was going to be, 6, 7 people up there with me, the Brian Howes, Matthew Scotches, Garamo, those guys that are known for going down there. I didn't think that it was going to be what it was. I definitely thought other people were going to, kind of find the same thing or kind of figure something out as well.
Trying to get this pulled up over here. I was reading, there's only 3 people that had limits both days. And Chris Longshore, shout out to him from Nebraska there. He put up 2 solid bags as well. He was in the top 3 both days, just like you.
He had me nervous the last couple.
Yeah, he was right. He was right there on your heels. And James Bush from Virginia, he's a fellow podcaster, one of the one objective guys. He had 2 great days as well. And that from reading the Bassmaster write-up, they were in similar depths to you, but they were doing different stuff. Like one guy was cranking, one guy was fishing brush piles in 8 to 10 feet or something like that. But it sounded like what you said. If you found a wad of them, or you found a fish, there was a wad of them there. Did you talk to those guys? Did you hear that story from them too, or no?
Yeah, I didn't. I heard a little bit at the BASS thing, but man, I was still trying to figure out, did I really just win this thing? I didn't listen to I didn't hear a whole lot of what happened. It was kind of just a big blur, for me. But I heard a little bit of that. But it definitely was for me. I could leave a tree also or a spot. I caught some fish off some concrete ramps as well. I could leave it, come back an hour and a half, 2 hours later, and catch another fish. And that's the other thing is, I submitted whatever was on the board, but there were a lot of other fish that I never even submitted that were smaller than what I had on there. So it wasn't like I just caught 7 fish or 8 fish that you saw on Tourney X. I did end up catching, probably 12 fish each day or so.
What was it like with the water down as low as it was? Were you looking when you initially broke down, what you were trying to find on this lake? Were you looking for drop-offs? Were you looking for holes? How did you kind of mentally prepare going into a lake fork that's 9 feet, lower than normal?
So the 2 concrete ramps that I fished, they were both near channel swings. And they were residential boat ramps. And there was just enough concrete still in the water, it looked like, to, have a little bit of heat. And I knew those would probably be good late in the day on day 2, and they were. And I caught fish there on day 2. I didn't mess with them on day 1 just because they were a little further back, and I knew that water was going to be a little bit colder than what it had
And
been.
you already had 100 inches, so there wasn't any point in this.
We'll
I was already 20 inches in the lead, so I didn't mess with them on day 1.
But, what I figured out was if I could find trees that were, at least 12 to 15 inches in diameter, okay, and there was 2 of them by each other. That were at least within 4 feet of each other. That was kind of what I was looking for to target. And I drag it between them or around the edges, just kind of bump the roots that were down there. But isolated timber was not a thing for me. I left all the isolated stuff alone. If there was a tree and it was there was another one 6 foot away, I didn't even cast. Like, it had to be kind of close together. And there were not a lot of pieces that set up like that. So it wasn't hard to find the other ones once I kind of zoned in on that. And so I literally just kind of ran around the cove I was in, practicing, ones I caught fish that looked like that, marked it, and then main lake stuff that I caught fish off of was very similar. There was one little spot that was different that I caught 2 20-inchers off of. I caught a nice fish off there pre-fishing too, but there was just a stump and there was a laydown like that. Just the back of the laydown ran right up to the stump. And then on the other side of the laydown, it dropped off from like 5 to like 12 foot. And so I'd throw up right there where that stump was. And as soon as I pull it off that stump, there'd be a fish, sitting
So
down
you were
there
catching your fish relatively shallow?
Yeah, everything was about 7 foot for me. So I never
crazy.
caught a fish, or it didn't really fish more than 11 foot all week or the past few days.
That's hilarious.
But man, the water temperature was 47 degrees. So, that was the big ticket for me. When I was down there practicing, it was 47. And so when I got back down there, and, Jeff will tell you, I put it in the group message to the team. I said, guys, don't worry about the air temperature. Just look at the water temp. Just because you're cold doesn't mean the fish are cold. That surface temperature and where you're at, wind chill factor might be 25, 24 degrees, but the water temperature is still 47. And I kind of feel like if I caught them there last week, dragging a jig in 7 foot of water, I'll go try it again. And,
That's insane.
maybe it's just dumb luck. I don't know. Maybe I'm
Did you happen to see where Jordan Marshall fished? I don't think his water temp was 47.
No, but that was key to why I wanted to fish some main lake stuff. And so we can talk about that if you want, kind of like what went in that decision making,
Yeah, for sure.
where to start.
Larry Hill kind of asked that question. He said, same pattern for pre-fishing and tournament days, or did anything change? And that's kind of, why you chose what you chose to fish.
So the biggest change was I knew those spots that I had that were closer to, like, say, real shallow water, like backs of creeks kind of thing. I knew that was going to change. I mean, I knew that was going to be colder, and it was. When I finally got back there, it was like 43 on day 1. Now by day 2, it was up to 47 again. But I started on the main lake where I found some fish the second day of practice that I went down there because I knew that water would be more stable. And so, that worked out for me. I had not planned on spending the majority of my day 1 on the main lake. I planned on going back to that little cove where, it breaks off and there's 3 little branches that go back. And by the time I had worked my way over there, I had 4 fish. And so when I nose in there, there's 6 people in there. And so in my head, I'm like, okay, I don't need to show everybody that's back here where these fish are. So I kind of weaved through folks, tried to be a little incognito about it. Went back there, in one of the spots that was kind of away from everybody, caught a 20-inch fish, took a picture, got out of there. And, I was saving the rest of those spots for day 2. And worked my way back to the truck. On the way back to the truck, that little laydown with the stump by it, I ended up catching a 21 off of it. And, I worked my way back towards the truck. I burned a couple fish, a couple 17 and 18s, that couldn't help me at that time. And then, I was kind of kicking myself working back through that water. I was kind of like, maybe I shouldn't have done that. But get to the truck, and it's about 2:30. And I was like, I didn't start on that morning spot because they changed the time, and it was across the lake, like literally directly across from me. I had to go across the bridge. So I was like, I'm going to hustle up. I'm going to load up. I'm going to throw a Hail Mary. And so I throw the kayak in the truck, put everything in there, run across the bridge, dump in, go under this bridge on the other side. There's just a main lake point. I throw up there, and catch a small fish, which I've never done there. Every other fish I've ever caught there has been a giant. And I catch like a 15-incher, and I throw it back, throw back up there a few more times, and pull the jig off a stump right there on that main lake point, and that's when I caught that 22-incher, and that was just pure luck. I mean, it's just I rolled over there and threw a Hail Mary, and there was a fish there to catch it, I guess.
Ryan said that before, man. When it's your time, it's your time. And things happen like that.
It's like you can do no wrong. Like you can call your shots. Like I mean, that the TOC was different, but Watts Bar, like I felt like when Edwin was like, I don't know, 12 or 14 inches in front of me, I just felt it. I was like, shit, I'm about to catch this kid. 14 inches, like I got this. Like, shake it off. I need a 19 right here. But I mean, I really think like when the stars line up, you're the only person that can make you lose. If you drop your phone, if you lose your identifier, like it's on you to mess it up. But when it's your day, the fish are doing right. Like they know who pulls up, they're ready to go.
Yeah. Well, and I had that moment on day 2. I did. Aside from the kayak issues that I had, which were completely my fault. Okay, being impatient, trying to force something to defrost.
We got to talk about that. Tell people about what happened. I mean, we saw it on your story and whatever, and the pictures posted. But tell everybody what happened.
Yeah.
That's
so
insane.
day 1, you're sitting on 102 inches, and then you start your day 2 like this. Tell that story.
So I roll over to launch, and the day before, I had to work my rudder loose. Because water got in there, the cables kind of got frozen there, and I had to get out of the kayak as I had started, and then I had to pull back in. I had to get the rudder loose on day 1, and I popped it loose. So day 2, I'm like, okay, I already know I got to do this, and I'm being real easy with it for a really long time. And eventually, I got impatient with it. I'm like, I'm just going to try to give it a little punch, and when I did, I popped the cable and broke it. And now I'll tell you this, in my mind, I was like, I'll paddle this sucker. I'll go find 5 fish. I don't care if I have to. But, I reached out to our little group, the folks on the Old Town team in the southern region. And I just said, hey, is anybody around here that has an extra kayak? And Roy, who's actually from Conway, Roy Grubb, and I know, very well, happened to be nearby and had his extra Predator. He brings it over, and we're, trying to get, my knob for the graph over to his, and just trying to figure out how to get my crate in there. And it finally got to the point where it's, it's go time, and I can't fit the crate in there because I got, 7, 8 rod holders on there. And I just looked at it and I said, dude, I got to go. And I just ripped 3 of the rod holders off, threw them on the bank. I said, put them in a truck. I'm only using 2 of these rods anyways. And I took off. But so I roll around, to my starting spot. And this was that moment where, Ryan, you're saying you kind of know when you know. I threw in this area where I caught several fish, and I caught some 18s. I think I caught a 19 there the day before. I ain't caught any big fish there per se. For fork.
Yeah, I was going to say, fork really changes your perspective on that. I caught a couple 19s, not really shit out of there, but.
But so I throw in there, and several casts repeated. That was one thing that was true too. So you couldn't just throw in there one time and think you're going to catch a fish. Sometimes it took multiple casts on some of those trees, but multiple casts in the spot. Finally get bit, set the hook. Fish is coming to me. I get the net out, and I go to scoop this thing up, and I do a terrible job. I don't get the tail or the head in the net. I pretty much pick this thing up, and it's laid across like a loaf of bread on the net. Okay, and it does one of these, and when it does, the jig comes out of its mouth, and as the fish is falling, I just reached down as fast as I could and just scooped with the net, and I scooped that fish up in the net. But when I got that 21-incher in the kayak, I was like, I'm going to win this tournament. Like, if that kind of stuff is happening, I'm going to go find 4 fish, and I'm going to win the tournament.
So did you watch the leaderboard?
I don't look at it until I have 5 fish.
Okay.
So I left that spot, and I worked some of that main lake stuff over to that other area that I had saved, but I didn't do near as hot. But I worked it a lot faster, too, because I knew I had fresh stuff that I wanted to go hit. And when I got in that area where there were 6 people before, now there's only 3. So that game plan worked out. Some of those folks had left that area, and I rolled up to the first spot in there and caught 2 fish, boom, boom. And then worked another spot, nothing. Went to my 3rd spot, and then finished out my limit there. Then I looked at the leaderboard, and I was pretty shocked, I will say. I was pretty shocked.
We had a group chat going, following it ourselves. And at one point, I think James Bush he got his limit first, and he had passed you, and he was up, I don't know, he was up by 10 inches or something like that, but you didn't have your limit yet. And some folks were like, man, he better get that 5th fish. And I said, man, he's on fish. He's about to do this. And sure enough, it wasn't 30 minutes, and you had that 5th one, and it was a good one, and you blew by him. And the only person that kind of gave you a little run for your money was Longshore. He came in hot late and had an outside shot. I
mean, I caught that last fish at a 12 somewhere in there, but when I caught that fish, I felt like that's it. That's the nail in the coffin. Because before the day started, I was like, if I can do 96 inches, I'll probably win this tournament. And then I was like, if I hit 98, I definitely got it. Well, then I, obviously did better than that. So I'm like, it's got to be over. And then I was looking at the leaderboard, and then I looked at his fish, and I was like, oh, shoot, man, he really could probably cull some of those out here. Like, it ain't over. I got to keep fishing. So, I mean, I fished all the way till the end, and I fished hard because Fork is one of them places that you never know. Somebody may roll up and catch 2 23-inchers, within 10 minutes.
Larry Hill may catch 3 or 4 in a tournament, it seems. So that's
yeah.
I mean so that's the only number he had dialed in, it looks like.
I never truly felt like it was over until, I got to the LinkedIn and kind of heard some folks talking that, it kind of felt like it was a done deal at that point. But until you kind of really hear that, still in the back of your mind when you're on Lake Fork, you never know, someone caught another 24.5 incher.
And Garrett, you and I have been to Lake Fork and been in the same tournament together a bunch of times.
Yeah.
This is the first time. Now, this is probably the toughest I've ever seen it fish, looking at the entire leaderboard. But I've never seen it to where, like Ryan said earlier, nobody was catching buck bass. I didn't see anybody submitting 12 and 13-inch fish. I mean, that just was not happening. Explain why do you think that was happening?
I mean, I have no idea. I mean, I got that 115-incher, but I didn't have a bunch of small bites like that either. I mean, my average bite, it seemed like, it got better as the tournament went on, but it seemed like for the 4 days, the 2 I pre-fished and 2 there, it's like if I got a bite, it was going to be at least an 18-inch fish, at least. So I don't know what was going on, but I wasn't complaining about it.
They don't do dinks in Texas, it don't look like.
I guess so.
I just mean in the past, you know what I'm saying? There's people that'll fill their limits with the bucks there at the tail end of things. That just wasn't happening. I mean, even the people that caught 1 fish, if you look down the leaderboard, it was a 22 or a 23 or whatever.
I mean, how many skunks were there in this tournament?
Let's see. I'll scroll through here.
1 million. It was something. I mean,
over the 2 days, it was around 50 skunks for 2 days total, and then a lot of people with just 1 fish. I think it was like 90 people with 1 or less.
That's nuts.
Yeah, and I'll tell you another thing is, last year I didn't do too hot during the tournament. Like an hour afterwards, I'm still out there just kind of, wasting time and catching a good one. But I stayed an extra day and went and explored, and that paid off. I mean, that paid off this tournament. So I know some people did that this tournament, like Roy, when he brought me the kayak. He's like, man, I'm just going to go mark some stuff on my graph. So, when you're down there for a 2-day event and, things don't go great on the first day, sometimes it's worth just going and look at some new water or going and look at some new launches and just kind of exploring some stuff. Because I've been on Fork a ton. I mean, I went there a lot growing up, went there a lot for spring breaks and stuff. But the area I fished, I had never fished before I looked at it last year. I looked at it last year, when I stayed that extra day.
So do you want to what were the people? You said you rolled into that cove on day 1. There were 6 people in there in that little area fishing. What were they not doing? Were they just not on the juice, throwing the wrong technique? Or did you pick up on anything, or did you just try to ignore them and ease onto the back?
Well, some of them were fishing boat docks that were in there, and there was some boat docks that have water on them, and there were some good brush piles around some of them. I never got bit around those in practice, but kind of what I noticed, what I felt they were doing was they spent too much time in dead water. I mean, there's 5,000
Some people
trees.
spent their whole tournament in dead water, it looks like.
There's 5,000 trees in this cove, and there's basically 6 of them that hold fish. And if you knew where they were, you're going to catch them. But if you were spending time trying to pick every single tree apart, you're just wasting a lot of time. But the other piece of it was, I did see other people throwing a jig. I saw a lot of people throw a black and blue jig. Saw a lot of people throw a jig with a lot of red in it. The jig I was throwing was the G Money jig. It's got some green pumpkin and a lot of orange in it. And I use a Rage Bug as the trailer on there. And I just really think it was a color thing. I think they wanted that bit of orange on there. It's not too bright. When you mix in the where we go?
There she is.
When you mix in, the green, it kind of looks pretty natural overall. Where we go there? But that was the juice, man. That was it. So you can tell it's pretty beat up. But just kind of was what they wanted. And, that's one thing I've always had a couple custom bait folks that I work with. I like to find stuff that the fish don't see all the time. Lake Fork's a place that those fish see 100 baits, a day sometimes in the spring and, those summer months. But a lot of them are educated.
Do you feel like they've ever seen like a green pumpkin chatterbait?
I'm pretty sure they've seen every color chatterbait.
Okay. All right then. Okay. All right. Fair enough.
And I know I've heard you and seen you post about the G Money color here in Arkansas, catching them on different places down there in central Arkansas. So did that play a factor, you think, as well, just knowing once you got bit on something you're already confident in, that just take it to the next level as far as feeling like you were going to catch them?
Yeah, and, it could have just all been a mental thing. Obviously, if you look at the numbers, it wasn't a great event as far as, just there weren't a lot of fish caught. But I didn't feel like, I didn't feel like I'm going to struggle. I didn't feel like I'm not going to catch fish. I guess after having that, I did win practice. I just didn't post the pictures. So I just want to throw that out there. I know someone was like, hey, this is a practice leader. I'm like, no, they ain't the practice leader, but I'm holding those photos until afterwards. But when you go down there and just really stomp them on the head for 2 days leading up to an event, and then you feel like the water temp is going to be the same, another cold front situation. I think I just rolled in there so confident that it probably was a placebo effect in some ways. Like I was just too dumb and too stupid to even realize I shouldn't be out there doing what I was doing, I guess.
Did you mess with them on Thursday or Friday, or did you just get down there and fish the tournament Saturday and
Dude,
Sunday?
I didn't even come in until Friday at like 8. I had to work Friday and then just rolled down there late, stopped by and checked in, and went and fished on Saturday.
And that's that. Tell people, maybe you can offer a little advice. You don't want to give up too much juice. I don't know. You talked about Fork, and the first time I ever went to Fork, I noticed what you said, which is there are, especially with the lake low, a million trees, and you can get caught up in seeing all that and kind of get lost and waste a whole day trying to fish the wrong stuff or chasing every tree stump you see. So Forks like that, Truman Lake up in Missouri is like that. There's lakes around the country with so much standing timber. Yeah. How can folks learn from Garrett, from G Money, on how to break down standing timber lakes like that and find the juice?
Just looking for something different, and it, like that one stump that had lay down out in front of it, that was the only lay down that I could see out on that main lake, on that whole stretch of bank. The only one that had some sort of horizontal structure, and I caught, 2 good fish for the tournament in there. I caught another good one off of it, and pre-fished as well. But just looking for something that's just a little bit different. The two concrete ramps, that I caught fish off as well, they happen to be right near channel swings. And, with that water being as low as it was, that played an even bigger factor for those fish to be there. So just finding little things like that, and especially when it has been cold, things that hold heat. Of course, wood's going to hold heat, concrete's going to hold heat. I was actually focusing a lot of times on the sunny side of stumps and trees and things like that, where that sun had been hitting. And when the bite was better for me when there's the heavier wind. I would kind of come in from behind the structure and throw way out in front and then drag it back, assuming that the fish are kind of set up based on the wind there. That seemed to play a factor, but just looking for something different, it tends to be a key. I mean, if you're looking at a field of trees and they all look the same to you, you just got to kind of figure out how to find something that just seems a little different.
Larry Hill wants to know, do you run any forward-facing electronics? He
No.
barely had a boat, Larry. I doubt he had forward-facing electronics. He's out there on 2 pool noodles just getting it done.
He's out there on Seabiscuit, man, getting it done.
So here's the deal with that. I think that those forward-facing electronics have a place, and for those folks that are good with that, they will have their moments, and there's certain times of the year that they're going to kick everybody's butt. And if you're confident in that, go do it. I don't have that. I don't necessarily feel like I want it right now. I'm not saying I won't in the future, but I just kind of focus on what my strengths are, and fish off instincts for the most part. I can get away with that, quite a bit of the time of the year. There's other times of the year when I wish I was better at my electronics. That's why I bought the class that I need to go take, with the JT fundraiser. That's the one I bought. So that I will get at the Kentucky Lake and cash that in, and learn my electronics a lot better. I do have side imaging, but I'll tell you, there was not a single fish that I caught that I saw on my graph and was like, oh, there's a fish there. It was more about the depth and the structure that I was looking for, and I guess just feeling confident that there's going to be fish there. So I have been in the boat. So I do a couple big boat tournaments locally. The guy I fish with, that he runs forward facing, and he's good with it. And he can go catch them. I can tell you, fishing out of the back of the boat, though, it gets kind of difficult when you're trying to cast and they hit the trolling motor to go chase something. So it definitely can change things up with, how you fish and all that. And I've seen people chase fish too much to have it.
I heard that happen quite a bit on Fork.
I've almost been run over with people in their bass, but not like full throttle. They're just trolling with their head down and not even paying attention to where they're going. They're just chasing fish on the sonar.
One of the cool things that I was introduced to this past weekend was perspective mode on these forward-facing sonars. So instead of having your transducer vertical, it's turned sideways, and it gives you a super wide cone that's almost relatively your viewpoint out of the front of the kayak. But it's only good till about 10 or 11 feet. But those trees, for instance, that you were fishing, you would see all the trees, and you would be able to see which ones had fish on them and which ones didn't in this flat plane of live scope. That's something, especially I think in the spring, up until spawn, up until they start moving back out to the ledges. I think that would be a pretty clutch little deal. They were showing some clips of like dock fishing and whatnot, and you could tell which dock post had fish on them.
Did y'all see the Milliken video where he went down to? I think he was on Fork doing that crap. Did you see that, Garrett?
I hadn't checked that one out.
Yeah, he was on Fork running jerk baits and swim baits through the treetops with the forward-facing sonar. So I don't know. That could be a whole other conversation we could have, even if it should be allowed in tournaments. But it's a wild technology for sure.
Yeah,
I just bought it, so it better be allowed for at least for this year.
There may be a time where I want it, and I put it on mine. But right now, I'd have to get out there and experience it a lot more before I invested in something like that.
I don't want to get my ass kicked by Edwin again because I was too cheap to buy it. That's my That's my only motivation. Like if he's out there sitting on brush piles sniping fish in 30 feet of water, I want to be able to do the same thing.
Yeah.
I don't want it to be because I didn't have it.
We got some questions here. Somebody asked, Jody Bowers, number one, he said he was glad he had you on your fantasy team. He actually messaged me and said he had you and I on his fantasy team. I said, Jody, I didn't make it down. I got snowed in up here in the freaking mountains, so you're screwed. But Garrett came through and won the whole thing, so I think he made up the difference. And then he also asked, are you fishing Greers for the NSK? Are you going to be around for that?
No, I'm actually going to go with the fam up to Branson. So my kids are still young enough. They think that little indoor water park up there is like
the Grand Country Inn? You going to the Grand?
Baby. So we're going to take advantage of that until they realize that place isn't that great. But we're going to keep taking them till.
Yeah, my boys used to love that back in the day. It's cool that it's still there. So.
Yeah, so I'll be up there for that. I'll make the Conway tournament for NSK. That's probably the only one I fish this year, and the rest of the time I'll spend chasing these Hobies and some of these BASS events.
You coming to Toledo this week?
I am. Yeah,
right.
I'll drive through the night. I'll get AJ to meet me in the morning, and then I'll go fish.
Seems like a good formula.
See,
there's another good question from Evan Morganson. It's kind of a long one. You see that one, right?
I was reading that one.
Says, do you feel kayak fishing has opened the door for blue-collar Americans as an opportunity at the pro level of fishing that's affordable? Do you feel this will change as time progresses and kayak tournament entry fees get too excessive?
Man, I've always said that the big appeal to kayak fishing was anybody can go buy a kayak. And, I don't think you got to have a fancy rig. And obviously, I don't necessarily think you got to have electronics. I think they help. But, if you know how to catch them, you can go get a sundolphin and go catch them. I ain't saying it's going to be comfortable. And I ain't saying your pictures are going to be great. But, man, I started in a $200 rig from Academy with 2 poles, 2 Shakespeare poles, 2 Abu Garcias, and, just went out there and fished because I liked it. And, got addicted to it. But the good thing is I think the sport will keep growing because it's something that somebody like me with 2 kids, sure, would I love to have a Phoenix bass boat out there? Yeah. Do I want the Phoenix bass boat payment right now? Heck no. Do I want to pay insurance on it? No. Do I want to pay the extra gas to haul it across the country? No. Do I want to put gas in it for each tournament? No. There's other things that I need to prioritize as a father to make sure I'm doing for my kids. But this still allows me to be competitive and enjoy something that I like to do. As entry fees get higher, I think you'll still have other trails to fish. And that's the good thing is we're starting to see the pecking order establish itself, and it's going to take care of itself. The anglers are going to choose based on their experiences, and we're starting to see that happen.
Give us, number one, I thought it was cool that your family came down and was able to see the weigh-in. That was awesome. But give us your opinion of the Bass experience down there. I know Bass has had some hiccups with the registration process and some of their information going out, but how did they handle things on the ground at the event for you?
So great experience on my end. I needed a late check-in, being I couldn't get away until later on Friday. They were accommodating with that. I will say AJ is the best with that. I've never been to a Hobie event where if I needed to meet him in the morning or something, he was always willing to do that. So I think Bass got that right this time, and being, accommodating and flexible with those things. I had to call the tournament director to ask about, hey, because I didn't know for sure could I use someone else's kayak, but I wanted, I'm in the lead. I'm not going to go out there until I know. So I called him and I was like, hey, is this cool? But he answered the phone right away, clarified things for me when I had questions. But I felt like things were handled well. It was a good experience on my end.
One thing they do that they already have it built in because they're Bassmaster is they're quick on the press releases. They have the interviews up, the videos up. They're on that pretty quick. And I saw they did some good stuff with you on day 1 and 2.
Yeah, that was pretty shocking too. I wasn't prepared for that piece. So it's like, hey, come here. It's like photo. Hey, talk to this person. Hey, talk to that person. That was pretty overwhelming. It has been really for the last 24 hours of, phone calls, podcasts, interviews, things like that. But the media side with Bassmasters, I would say, is probably their strength. You probably get more exposure with that organization than you do with some of the other trails. So I think maybe where they need to put a little bit more simplification in the registration process, and kind of getting the schedule out maybe a little bit earlier, and kind of checking and see what else is going on in the country. I think they make up for it in their ability to give you exposure as an angler, if that's something you're after, or something you desire. But man, I've just been shocked at how many times I got on Facebook and saw my mug popping up on this post or that post, or on their website. That was pretty overwhelming. And man, I mean, I feel pretty blessed for sure.
So that's one of the things that, when Bass announced that it was coming into the kayak scene, I think that's one of the expectations that everybody had from the beginning. You assumed that this was going to be just a huge media wave coming in on these kayak tournaments, and it was slow to build up. And I mean, honestly, like Iaconelli, when Iaconelli won the 30-man event up there on Upper Chesapeake, they made a huge push on that. but I mean, up until then, there wasn't really a huge media deal with that. I'm glad they are listening. Hats off to Bass, because they did adjust some of the rules. We talked about the pre-fishing cutoffs and things. They are paying attention to what anglers are talking about. It may not happen immediately, but they have done a great job promoting you winning fork. I've seen it everywhere. I mean, that's awesome. And I'm glad they're getting rolling on the media thing, because I think that is going to be their key to being successful on the kayak side, but also a lot of kayak anglers' keys to elevating, to a point where they can potentially chase these trails for a living and have the sponsorship dollars to support that.
Yeah, that one thing I saw at the very first event on Logan Martin is they had their media guy come in and he talked to the whole crowd. You remember that, Garrett? You guys were both there, I think.
Yeah.
He talked to the whole crowd about having names on your boats and having, how to talk to the media, how to, prepare for pictures. And that was big. So I expected from then on for them to be pushing, and they do a good job. Like we said, at the events, they did a great job with you at this event. We need them to step up their game prior to the events. Uh-oh. What happened there? Prior to the events, getting the word out about the events and kind of pushing the events a little bit more ahead of time and getting their schedule out a little bit earlier. But we want them to succeed. We want all the trails to succeed, because, more options is better.
I wanted to see. I was waiting on the live awards. Like, that kind of hurt my heart. I was sad. I assumed that you won it, but I was like, man, when are we going live here? Like, I didn't know who was sandbag. I mean, it's fork. Like, so you see BDH pull out 106 inches. There was room for a shock there, and I'm like, dude,
I know.
If somebody's knocked him off in the last minute, this is going to be nuts.
Yeah, somebody could have pulled a pentagraph on him.
I was going to say, if somebody gets Jordan Marshalled out here, it's going to be awful.
Well, it wasn't going to be Christine Jordan Marshall him again, because she forgot. She did the day 2 ID on day 1. So sorry, Christine. I'm going to be here.
That's the second tournament in a row she's done that. That's the second tournament in a row. But she always does that in early season events. Is not her jam. She'll get rolling here in about a month and a half, 2 months.
I tell you what, man, I love events like this when, like, we people that aren't in the events, we enjoy watching them all and seeing who's going to win and following along. But certain ones, there's like some momentum that builds behind it, and you start really getting invested and pulling for certain people. And I think there was a wave of people pulling for Garrett to win this event. So like Ryan said, we were all kind of left in the dark for a couple hours last night. Like, oh my God, I think he won. Did he win?
I know,
what
we're
happened?
Like texting each other, like, what he have? Like, you hear what he had?
Yeah.
But that was kind of when I pull up to the LinkedIn. That was kind of, well, what was this? What did this person have? And that's kind of when I started putting together, like, oh, I may have actually won this thing, But on my, pedal in, my brother's calling me. He's like, man, the dude that was in second, he didn't submit any fish yet. And when he said that, my heart dropped. I was like,
freaking brothers, man. Why's your brother got to do you like that? What's up with that?
No, I mean, he was like, but I've looked at all the fish, and, I feel like you're good, but, I don't know why. Maybe he's got a monster sack or whatever, but then I think I heard it. I think he submitted 4 or whatnot, which I understand probably why I didn't submit fish. I know I don't submit fish until I have 5 most of the time. Now, because the conditions were the way they were, I was submitting fish as I went, in case something happened with my phone or whatever. I mean, when it's cold like that, man, you never know with electronics.
Your battery dies faster when it's cold too, so you have to be cognizant of stuff like that.
I do take a battery pack with me with an extra charger. So that's a tip for anybody out there that, going to fish in the cold, you may want to invest in one of those. You just never know. But local tournaments, though, I won't submit unless I have 5 fish. So I want to take the time to stop fishing, because that could be casts that I could be making to catch that 5th fish. So I totally get that.
When you're rolling in that autopilot, though, when you're moving spots, it's easy to submit. You can just hit that direction. You hit that directional and just go ahead and do it.
I tell you, I got some exercise this last event here. So the next one I'll have an autopilot to zoom around in.
That's good stuff. I think we wouldn't be doing any justice if we didn't show the fella that was in second on day 1 if we didn't show his fish. So let's show that monster, because he did win Big Bass of the tournament.
Yeah, that was a giant.
That's a big one. Thick.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And there were multiples that size caught, and Larry Hill caught, I think, 3 23s. So unbelievable the size average that was caught. I don't have the time to do the math on that, but I wonder if Dwayne would throw it in his calculator and tell us what the average size was for that tournament, because it was impressive.
I mean, I would say the average is high, being that so few fish were caught, and they were all thick. So I'd say the average is looking pretty solid on that one.
150 people, 400 fish, basically over 2 days. That is not many at all. And I think Garrett caught like 40 of those. So
But man, I remember at one point I was trying to measure a fish, and it was like a 19-incher, and its head was just so was like so wide, like I couldn't hardly get it down in the catch board, like to position it the way I needed it to try to get the most length out of the fish. I'm like, this big-headed sucker here. But it wasn't. I mean, it was 19 inches, but it had a head on it like it should have been 23.
That 22 had a head on it like it should have been a 12-pounder.
Yeah.
Skinny body.
Yeah, I don't know what was up with that fish. One of its eyes didn't look great.
It been tied up for 2 weeks in a cold front, waiting on you to get back between them 2 trees.
No, man. It's interesting. I actually had a cameraman was right there by me. He's actually on the phone with me. Walking over the bridge, was going to come film, and I'm on the phone with him whenever I got the bite to set the hook. I'm like, dude, I just caught one. So he hustles over there. Huh?
Big worm, Mark?
Yeah.
So
he
my
hustled
boy
over there, and he was wanting me to bring the fish over to him, to get video. I'm like, listen, dude, I got to get this fish in the water. It don't look too good. But I got a good video of it swimming off. I'll go on and share that.
Dude, he posted a picture with a big ass fish in the boat
he caught
out there while he was photographing. I was like, how'd this happen?
I think Mark caught an over off your backup spot, Garrett. That son of a gun. No, I'm just kidding.
He's out there, boy.
Hey, let me ask you about this, because you normally fish out of the top water or the Sportsman. Yeah. You're in Roy's Predator here. You're flirting with disaster, leaving that ID just sitting there on the rail. Little breeze, and you're in some trouble, man.
Here's the deal: it
was frozen. It was frozen to the rail.
It already blew off once and got wet at this point, so now it's just sticking on that sucker.
Okay, I got you.
So once you got it wet, you can just throw it up there. It's good.
Just throw it up there and she freezes.
We all had 2 identifiers, so there's another one in the deal there. But I will tell you, there's a little bit of adjustment going from a top water to a predator.
Yeah, that's a little bit different, man. The hole, it's a little deeper, different setup there for sure.
Yeah.
Let's see. Any more questions that you saw, Ryan, that I missed to throw up there?
No, I think you nailed it there pretty good. I just want to touch on that Evan's question earlier. I definitely think the stage that's set is to open the door kind of for the blue collar guys to get into this. But I'll tell you, like, these sponsors, when they see you getting traction on the kayak fishing side, they're looking at the reach and the growth of kayak fishing. Like, that's what they want to target. So if you think that you're going to come up on the kayak fishing side and then go buy a bass boat and be that influential or that popular or whatever, just remember there's 500,000 guys in front of you already in a bass boat. like that the crossover game is a lot steeper on that side. So you may find yourself kind of worked into the kayak side, and that's where you need to be to be able to make money doing this.
Ryan, it's interesting you say that. So before I got into kayak fishing, I was, kind of doing the BFL co-angler thing. Did it a couple times. Me and a buddy kind of committed to doing it. And me and him did some local tournaments. And I signed up for a kayak event, did well. Signed up for a few more, did well. I got to talk to him. He's like, dude, this kayak thing's just starting to go. He's like, there's 100 people out there trying to be KVD. He's like, but this kayak thing's just taking off. You probably need to stick with it. His name's Eddie Brown, and that was probably a good piece of advice he gave me. He kind of saw that coming, 4 or 5 years ago. And I think what you just said is spot on. There's a lot of people in front of that line.
I know it for a fact. I mean, I went and bought that Phoenix that you're talking about last year, and had that conversation with sponsors, and they're like, do whatever you want to, sampling the bass boat side, but but we want you for the kayaks. Like that's the reason that you're here is the kayak side. So that's kind of a rude awakening, but that's the truth. I mean, this is the fastest growing segment of the sport, so they're looking for that foothold in the market, if you will.
Yeah.
We had 3 questions come in back to back to back to back. A couple of them from local folks. One from someone near and dear to your heart over on YouTube there, Garrett. James from H24 Outdoors. What'd you think of the new pre-fishing rules that Bass had set up?
I mean, I like it. I like that it, I like a dead period for a couple different reasons. It doesn't allow people to just, camp out and, on a certain area and just go wear it out knowing they're not going to fish there. Let's just be real. It does happen probably. So it kind of gives some space there where the fish get a break a little bit. I think, it's going to help folks like myself that tend to kind of, do their own thing. Just go try to find your own pattern, your own fish, and think it kind of levels the playing field a little bit.
Then Kyle Long threw one in there. Did you get crowded? Did anybody do the bent rod pattern on you at all for 2 days? No, he said, did everybody give you space? They didn't try to run the bent rod pattern.
If you did really well on day 1, did somebody come in there and throw a fluke on you on day 2?
Honestly, I don't think anybody knew who I was, where I was. So I was good. The only thing that made me nervous is when the camera boat started coming around.
Yeah.
It doesn't take long to figure out something's going on when the camera boat starts, rolling around and kind of following you around. But, I think I was good. Just, the starting spot in the main lake stuff I was on, there's only one other guy out there, and it was his first event. His name's Peyton. We chatted up. He's a really cool dude. I encouraged him to come do some more of these and stay after it. But I mean, we fished by each other quite a bit. But it didn't bother me. I kind of felt like I kind of had my own thing going on.
All right. And then here's the last one we'll give you tonight. And it's kind of the way we were going to finish it anyway, which is what's your plans for this year? Larry Hill asked, what's your other national tournaments for the rest of the year? What do you feel you have a solid chance of winning? Is there one that you're looking forward to? Like, I got a shot at this one coming up.
Dardanelle in September. So I did well there the first year. The second year I overslept.
My boy.
Yeah, that was the whole thing. Then me and Jeff, we kicked around back there, and next thing you know, we see Brian Howe. So we got out of his way. Obviously, he had a chance to win the thing.
We watched BDH wear him out. Garrett actually went and ran off a bass boat off of BDH from crowding him.
Hey, man, you just gotta let people know. Hey, my man here got a chance to win some major dough. You need to keep it moving here. You can come, fish Dardanelle anytime. You live right down the road. But anyways, Dardanelle's the one I kind of got my eye on that I feel like I could do well at. I'm going to fish Toledo, probably go to Broken Bow. I did sign up for Eufaula, never been there, so I'll be driving through the night on that one. But I would like to hey, Eric may actually win Dardanelle. He's done pretty good out there as well. I see him saying he's going to win it this year. I would like to try to find some more BASS events. Be honest with you, this was the only one I was going to fish this year. But now that apparently I'm winning Angler of the Year at the moment, I might need to go find some more to go fish.
That's what happened to Lambert last year. He got caught chasing AOY all year after winning that first one.
I spent a lot of money on that one. I should have just stuck with Watts Bar and went on to the house.
Yeah. Kyle's got another good question, man. He said BPT's getting ready to be on Fork. Who you going to sell the juice to down there?
They actually do lie detectors. They have information rules in those real tournaments. They'll bust that ass for that.
Okay, I don't know about all them rules down there.
I mean, the juice was just given on the program. All they got to do is watch it, right?
That's it. Watch, or go listen to the audio podcast later. Either way, you'll be good to go.
But man, I tell you, I would really love to qualify for the Hobie Championship because we know where the championship's at, right?
Oh, Garrett. He's due on Caddo, that's for sure. We thought you was going to win. You was my pick to win the national championship down there this year, so I know you want to get to Caddo for anything.
I want to get to Caddo for anything, so I usually fare pretty decent down there.
That's another huge, as far as average size of fish goes. That'll be a barn burner, I think, for the TOC.
Yeah, awesome.
Will this be the biggest tournament to go to just Caddo and not have the selection of lakes, like just Caddo?
I'm honestly excited. I love Caddo, period. So
yeah.
Especially with only 50 people. I mean, the last time I fished it, there were 125 people in the area I could see, which was miserable. So with only 50 people, I can only assume that it's going to be pretty awesome.
Yeah. But I honestly think that is playing a role into these things selling out.
I think sure it is.
When you put a championship down around Texas, Louisiana, Arkansas area, Oklahoma, where, people fish like 24/7 if they can. There's going to be a lot of people trying to qualify for that championship just because it's in their backyard.
I mean, I think the lake location, and I think it being $45,000 this year. I mean, that's stuff that we were only seeing in the Xfinity number national championships. Like, $45,000 for 50 people. You got to, I mean, if you wake up every day, you got a decent little shot at getting in on that, I mean, show up and obviously you've done well to get there, so you have a skill set, but the odds are much more in your favor at having a crack at taking home $45,000. And I think that first event selling out has now started the domino effect. People realize that this is something that is, not a forever deal. It's not something you can wait 2 or 3 months on. This is your chance. You're buying your lottery ticket. You got to do it right now.
And it may create habits to where people sign up even for the non-cap events a little bit earlier and, get in line. So
I think you will. And I think Dardanelle will cap out because it is late in the year and people will be rolling the dice, just that being their shot to get into TOC. I think that's going to cause Dardanelle to cap as well.
Yeah. And a lot of people really have liked Dardanelle. I know, Ryan loves coming to Arkansas, but a lot of other people have enjoyed.
I can't remember the name of that bar, but I love that part of it. You can have the rest of Arkansas. I would love. Can we do, Jeff? I want to talk to you about this. I'll do it now. Can we start a KBN Big Bass side pot for Hobie events? Because I don't want to walk away with another $400 check in case I catch big bass again.
We've seen that concurrent events are easy to set up, so we could easily put a KBN Big Bass on Tourney X or something. And
let's do it. We'll put it together this week.
Yeah, we're taking bids. You want to put it on Tourney X or Fish Donkey or Fishing Chaos? What are we doing?
iCatch. Put it on iCatch.
Go back to iCatch.
Invisible measuring. You don't have to use your hog trough.
Yeah, we'll just do the digital measure. Oh my God. Yeah, we could definitely do that. That could be fun. I don't know who would judge it, but it could be fun.
I don't know. Aaron Mathis. I nominate Aaron Mathis. She's the judge for all KBN side pot big bass events.
Yeah, you get a cut of the pot, Aaron. You get 50 cents per entry to judge all the fish.
Okay. All right then.
Something like that. I don't know. We don't want to keep Garrett too much longer. We've been going a long time. It's been an awesome interview. I'm just stoked, man. It was cool to see you win. It's cool to see Old Town teammates stacking blue trophies. We got Jim Davis with a couple of them, Pendergraph with one. Now we got Garrett with one. Kind of owning the bass side of things. We can get over on that Hobie podium, don't we?
I think it's because Old Town sponsors Bass, right? That's why they let y'all win this stuff.
I don't know, man. I don't know.
I think it is.
Old Town guy popped off and won that first Hobie a couple years ago, but then he switched to Hobie. Old Harshman won on Seminole in his Old Town, then switched.
He learned real quick. He got a little money in his pocket and said, "I'm done with this Old Town."
You notice since he switched, he ain't won shit. So sorry, Jake.
Oh man, the truth hurts.
Nah.
I mean, I'll tell you, as we kind of wrap things up, man, I was confident going down there in this event, but I'll tell you, I've taken my losses. I've had some disappointing finishes. I've had some where I went down there and got beat up pretty good, or didn't fill out a limit for 2 days and things like that. So, I'm definitely not letting it get to my head. I know, I could go down to Toledo and only post, a fish on one day or something like that. But I'm definitely going to enjoy the moment and be thankful for it. So very appreciative to the folks that have supported me along the way. H4 Outdoors down here in Conway. Since I started kayak fishing, they've kind of helped me out, kind of steering me in the right direction with kayaks and keeping stuff in stock for me, and appreciate those folks for sure. And family and friends that had my back. And in SKA, the Central Trail, we talk about the local trail thing. I've had people chase me on those local trails the last 2 years, that when I got in the lead on day one, you talk about handling the pressure. Fishing from the front's different. You don't know that till you're there. It's one thing to chase somebody, but when you're in the front and everybody's chasing you, you just got to hold on to it or go replicate. And that's a different kind of pressure. But I will say, fishing a local trail and having fished from the front prepared me to be able to handle that on Sunday. So I tell you, if you're wanting to get into it, start with a local trail and kind of cut your teeth and get out there and meet some folks and get you some healthy rivalry. So you've seen Eric pop in the comments there. We already had some banter back and forth. So whoever loses the Conway event between us is buying beer. So we'll see.
Well, I love it. My local rival Jordan Marshall is headed to Toledo, coming off a fresh skunk. So I'm looking forward to rubbing his nose in it this next weekend.
Yeah, he was out acting a fool today, Ryan.
He is acting a damn fool today. I can't wait. I can't wait to get down there and see those guys.
Yeah, awesome stuff. Well, I'm looking forward to Toledo as well. Hopefully we run into each other down there, Garrett. I don't know where you're staying, but definitely need to hang out, man. Congratulations once again. Everybody's so excited to see you win, man. That was awesome. Way to rep Arkansas.
Man, it was a long time coming, but it was worth the wait for sure.
Yeah. All right. And everybody, thanks for watching. Thanks for watching. And everybody on the audio podcast, as always, thanks for watching or listening over there. Give us a review on iTunes. Sorry, Ryan. Go ahead.
DT free. Dugoutfishing.com. DT free. Buy 4, get 1 free. Scoop them.
Boom. There we go. All right. We'll see y'all next week. We gone. See you at Toledo.